Hello guys, today we'll be walking through the math section of the 9th practice test released by CollegeBoard, and I just thought this would serve as some useful preparation for those of you who are taking the SATs pretty soon in a couple months. So let's get started. So we have the system of equations above: 2x minus y equals 8, x plus 2y equals 4, and we want x plus y. So I want to point out immediately how the y's in both equations have opposite signs. And that's a key hint that we can use the elimination method to get rid of the y and just solve for x. And we can do that actually by multiplying the top equation by 2. So if we do that, we get 4x minus 2y equals 16, and then x plus 2y equals 4, right? Now if we add the two equations, notice how the negative 2y and the 2y cancel. So we're just left with 5x equals 20 and x is equal to 4. Right, now we can plug that back into the second equation. So 4 plus 2y equals 4, so y is 0. So x plus y is 4 plus 0, which is 4. And let's move on to the next question. Which of the following is equivalent to 2 times the quantity x squared minus x plus 3 times the quantity x squared minus x? So you notice how the things in the parentheses are the same? So we're just adding multiples of that thing together. So 2 times a something plus 3 times a something will be 5 times a something. So that something will be x squared minus x, so the sum will be 5 times x squared minus x. If we expand it, it's 5x squared minus 5x, and that's A. Okay, on to question 3. Which of the following statements is true about the graph of the equation 2y minus 3x equals negative 4 and the xy plane? So here all the answers refer to slope and intercept. So we want to put this equation in standard form over here. Not standard form. We want to put this equation in the slope-intercept form. So to do that, we have to isolate the y. So 2y is equal to 3x minus 4 if we isolate the y, and then we have to divide by 2 to get y by itself. So y will be equal to 3 halves x minus 2. So in our equation, we know that we have positive slope and negative y-intercept. And that corresponds to answer choice D. And we can move on. Alright, the front of a roller coaster car is at the bottom of a hill and is 15 feet above the ground. If the front of the roller coaster rises at a constant rate of 8 feet per second, which of the following equations gives the height h in feet of the front of the roller coaster car s seconds after it starts up the hill? Okay, so we start 15 feet above the ground, and then we move at a constant rate of 8 feet per second. Note the keyword constant. That means we're dealing with a linear equation. And if we're dealing with a linear equation, we have our intercept, or 15 feet, and then we have our slope, 8 feet per second. So it'd be something like 8s plus 15, and luckily enough for us, that's A. Next question. Number 5. The equation above gives the amount C in dollars an electrician charges for a job that takes H hours. Ms. Sanchez and Mr. Rowland each hired this electrician. The electrician worked 2 hours longer on Ms. Sanchez's job than on Mr. Rowland's job. How much more did the electrician charge Ms. Sanchez than Mr. Rowland? So we could set up an equation here. So let's say the electrician worked H plus 2 hours on Ms. Sanchez's job, and then just H hours on Mr. Rowland's job, right? If you subtract those two quantities, the 125s would cancel, and you'd be left with 75 times h plus 2 minus 75 times h. That just be equal to 75 times h plus 2 minus h. 75 times 2, so $150 more. And that's C. Okay, number 6. The circle above has center O, and the length of arc ADC is 5 pi, and x is equal to 100. What is the length of arc ABC? So the rest of it. Right. So in order to find that, we have to find the circumference of the circle. Well, that's a really bad circle. We have to find the circumference of the circle here. Right? And we know that the formula for finding the length of an arc, given the central angle that it connects, is the angle divided by 360 times the circumference of the angle is equal to the arc length. So in our case, we know the angle, 100 over 360. We don't know the circumference, and we know the length of the arc. So we can solve this equation. So the zeros cancel. This will be a 5. That can be an 18. So 5/18 C is equal to 5 pi. So C is equal to 18 pi. And we're just asked for the length of arc ABC. So this arc, or in other words, what's left. So what's left is the circumference minus the arc length. 18 pi minus 5 pi, that's 13 pi. We can move on to the next question. If 8 over x is equal to 160, what's the value of x? We can cross multiply. 8 equals to 160x. X is equal to 8 over 160. We can take out an 8 from the numerator and denominator. It'll be 1 over 20. So x is equal to 1 over 20. That's D in decimal form. 1/20th is 0.05. Okay. In the equation above, a is constant. If no value of x satisfies the equation, what's the value of a? So let's expand this right-hand side first. So we have, on the right-hand side, 3x plus 15 for the first one, and then 5x minus 5 for the second set. And that's equal to 2ax minus 15. Now if we add 15 to both sides, it's just 2ax equals 8x plus 25. Right. Now the only way that we have no solution for x is if these two terms are equal. Because if they're equal, then we'd have to show that 0 equals 25 for that equation to have a solution, which obviously you can't. So that equation would have no solution. So we just have to equate 2ax to 8x, and when we do that, we get a is 4. And that's C. Oh, whoa. Number 10 looks scary, but we're not there yet. Let's go to number 9. A system of 3 equations is graphed in the xy plane. How many solutions does the system have? Right, so all solutions of the system with 3 equations, all 3 graphs have to intersect. So 2 lines and the parabola, they all have to intersect for there to be a solution. And right now, I can only see one spot where they all intersect. That's this right here. So there's only one solution. Number 10. Oh god. Right. The equation above is true for all x when a or b are constants. What's the value of ab? Well, in order to be true for all x, that side has to be equal to that side. Right? So we know that each of these terms have to equal each of these terms when you expand this, right? And here's the cool thing: we can already find the value of a, right? We need the value of the coefficient of the x cubed term to be 20 on this side, and we know that the only way to get an x cubed term on this side is to multiply ax by 5x squared. So 5x squared times 8x has to equal 20x cubed, right? So that means a has to be 4. So we'll keep that in mind. So instead of ax, we can write this as a 4x. So a is 4. Now, let's look at this a bit clearer. Alright. We have to match the rest of these. So we need a negative 9x squared term and a negative 2x squared term. So when we expand this out, right, when we do this, we get 20x cubed minus 4bx squared plus 16x plus 15x squared minus 3bx and then plus 12. Right? Now, what we have to do is you have to group these terms. So we can group these two terms and these two terms. So 16x minus 3bx, right, has to equal to that term, so negative 2x. And then, let me just make some space here, get rid of this. 15x squared minus 4bx squared has to equal negative 9x squared. Right. So now we can solve either one of these equations to get b. I'm going to go with the first one because that's pretty simple. So if we divide both sides by x, let me get rid of this. If we divide both sides by x, we get 16 minus 3b is negative 2. So then negative 3b is equal to negative 14. Sorry, negative 18. And then b is 6. So we solve the first equation. I'm going to recap a little bit. 16x minus 3bx has to match that term, negative 2x. So 16 minus 3b is negative 2. Negative 3b is negative 18. b is 6. So we know that b is 6. So ab is 4 times 6 is 24. And we can move on to the next question. Alright, x divided by x minus 3 equals 2x divided by 2. Which of the following represents all the possible values of x that satisfy the equation above? Okay, so x divided by x minus 3 is equal to 2x divided by 2. So x over x minus 3 is just equal to x. X squared minus 3x equals x when you cross multiply. X squared minus 4x is equal to 0. So then x times x minus 4 is equal to 0. So then x is equal to 0 and then 4. But we have to check for extraneous solutions. Right. So we can plug in x equals 0. 0 over negative 3 is equal to 0 over 2. That works. And then 4. 4 over 4 minus 3. God. Let me write that a bit better. So when we check x equals 4, we get 4 over 4 minus 3 is equal to 2 times 4 divided by 2. That cancels, so 4 is equal to 4. That works. So our answer is B. Number 12. Okay. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above for all x greater than 0? So we just have to simplify this expression, and we don't have to worry about domain restrictions where this part is equal to 0, because x has to be positive, and x is positive, then the denominator of that fraction will be positive. So we don't have to worry about any domain shenanigans, so we can just go right ahead and simplify this. We have to write everything under the same denominator, so we have to write everything under 2x plus 1. So we have to change this 5 into something under 2x minus 1. And we can do that by multiplying 5 by 2x plus 1 over 2x plus 1. So when we do that, we get 10x plus 5 plus 1 over 2x plus 1. That's obviously 10x plus 6 over 2x plus 1, and that's D. Number 13. Alright. The graph of the function f in the xy plane above is a parabola. Which of the following defines f? So the vertex form of a quadratic function is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where hk is the vertex. So since our vertex is 3, 1, h would be 3, k would be 1. So it would look something like y equals 4, not 4, we don't even know that yet, a times x minus 3 squared plus 1. And just by looking at this form, we can rule out answer choices B and D. Those can go. Now it's just finding out which one the correct answer choice is, A or C. So we can plug in a point. We can plug in, say, 2, 5 into A and see which one gets the right answer. If we plug it into C, we get that the y value should be 2 minus 3 squared plus 1. That's equal to 2. That's not it. So it has to be A. But let's just make sure. When we plug in 2 into this equation, this part is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we know for sure it's A. Let's move on. Alright. Y is greater than or equal to x plus 2. 2x plus 3y is less than or equal to 6. In which of the following does the shaded region represent the solution set in the xy plane to the system of inequalities above? Okay. So I'm just going to use one of these graphs for drawing because it's helpful to illustrate how we're going to solve this problem. So I want to convert this inequality right here into slope-intercept form just to make my life easier. So I'm going to do that. So the slope-intercept equation that inequality is based off is 2x plus 3y equals 6. We can isolate y. X plus 6. And so then y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. So they have the same y-intercept. That's interesting. Okay. Now we just need to find the solution set, for each inequality and find the correct region that overlaps, basically. So we can go ahead and shade in the solution set to the first inequality over here. So this is so I'm going to draw a sample graph. Right, we have, pretend this is the line. We have y equals x plus 2. That's our y-intercept, and that's our x-intercept. So we can pick a point from either side, and if that point is not a solution to the inequality, then we know the other side of the line is the solution set. So I want to pick the origin. Right, if we plug it into the inequality, 0 has to be greater than or equal to 0 plus 2. 0 has to be greater than or equal to 2. That's obviously not true. So we know this side of the solution, that side of the line is not the solution set to that inequality, so we know that's the solution set to the first one. Now, the second one, graphed, would be, let me clear up that mess, would be, let's see, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. So it'll look something like this. Just like that. With our intercept here being at 3, 0. Right? Now again, we can pick the origin as our point and find out, is that point in our solution set for the second inequality? So if we plug that in, we get 0 plus 0 is less than or equal to 6. That checks out. So we know that side of the line is our solution set. Now we can combine the two. We know this side is the solution set for the first one, and then the x's are the solution for the second one. And now you just need to find where they overlap. And that's answer B, right there. Now, let's move on. All right, question number 15. What is the set of all solutions to the equation? Square root of x plus 2 is equal to negative x. So, we can square both sides. X plus 2 is equal to x squared. X squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0, bringing that all over. Now we have x squared, x minus 2, x plus 1 is equal to 0. So x is 2 or negative 1. So now we need to check both these solutions and see if they work. So let's check negative 1 first. Square root of negative 1 plus 2. This will be the negative of negative 1. So that's equal to 1. That checks out. Now if we plug in 2, square root of 2 plus 2 is not negative 2. That's not the answer. So only negative 1 works. So B. Let's move on. Okay, now we have the gridded answers. So, number 16. What is the volume in cubic centimeters of a right rectangular prism that has a length of 4 centimeters, a width of 9 centimeters, and a height of 10 centimeters? Okay, so we know volume is equal to length times width times height. That's just equal to 4 times 9 times 10, which is 360. Not bad. So, if x satisfies the equation above, what's the value of 2x plus 1? So let's write this equation out. That's interesting. It looks like 2x plus 1 is exactly half of 4x plus 2. So I think you can just divide this whole equation by 2 and just get the value of 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1 would be 2. Let me make sure. 4x divided by 2 is 2x. Yep. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Yeah, look at that. That's the answer. And if you couldn't spot that, or if you wouldn't be able to spot that on the actual test, you can go ahead and solve for x. So you can subtract 2 from both sides. 4x equals 2, and then you'd find x is a half. You'd plug it back in to 2x plus 1. 2 times 1/2 is 1, plus 1 is 2. Both solutions are valid. So number 18. The figure above shows the complete graph of the function f in the xy plane. The function g, not shown, is defined by g of x equals f of x plus 6. What's the maximum value of the function g? Right. This equation is describing a transformation of a vertical shift up 6. And if we have a vertical shift, we know that the maximum will go up or down with the vertical shift. And we know the min will also go up or down with the vertical shift. And since we're going up 6, our new maximum for g of x, so I want to just write max of g of x, will be the max of f of x plus 6. Plus 6. So what's our max of f of x? Well, it looks like here it's a periodic function that goes like this, right, on and on until infinity. Well, it doesn't actually. They show the complete graph. So we can just pick out the maximum point, and the maximum value is at 2, it looks like. So our maximum value for g of x will be just 2 plus 6, which will be 8. That's it. Pretty simple. Number 19. Ooh, some trig. Triangle PQR has right angle Q. So before I even read the rest of this question, I'm going to draw this triangle. So our right angle is at Q, and we have P here and R. Okay. If sine of R is 4 over 5, okay, so that's the angle at R. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, 4 over 5. So our opposite side would be 4, and our hypotenuse would be 5. Now this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. Okay, and we want the tangent of P. So the tangent of P is opposite over adjacent. That's 3 over 4. Okay, number 20. The graph of the linear function f is shown in the xy plane above. The graph of the linear function g, not shown, is perpendicular to the graph of f and passes through the point 1, 3. What is the value of g of 0? Okay, so let's reread that. Okay, so we have a function f that's graphed, and we have a function g that's perpendicular to it. So let's find the slope-intercept form for our function f of x. So slope-intercept is in the form y equals mx plus b. We know from the graph that our b value is 3, so y equals mx plus 3. And we have another point right here, 1, 1. We can plug it in. So 1 equals m plus 3 equals -2. Or you can find the slope another way. You can look at it like this. We move 1 to the right to get to the x-coordinate of the next point from the y-intercept. But at the same time, we also move 2 down. If we move 2 down and then 1 to the right, our slope is just rise over run, -2 over 1. So that's our slope. So our function f of x is -2x plus 3. And we're told that g of x is perpendicular to f of x. And we know that linear functions perpendicular to each other have slopes that are negative reciprocals of each other. So we have to take the negative of the slope of f of x and then take its reciprocal. The negative of the slope of f of x will be 2, and its reciprocal will be 1/2. Right. So it'll be 1/2 x plus some y-intercept value we don't know yet. But we do know that the graph of g passes through 1, 3. So we can plug it in. 3 is equal to 1/2 times 1, which is 1/2, plus our b value. So b will be 2.5. So our value for our y-intercept for g of x is 2.5. And therefore, g of 0 will just be our y-intercept, 2.5. We'll get to the calculator section of this test in the next video.